to Archipelago?
Yeah,
she's talking.
Yeah.
She said it feels right to read this here
because I wrote the beginnings of it in my little shack in the back, which Robert saw and Chuck saw when it was just pieces of language across maps. And I was watching, I don't know if it was your recent celebration at BARD or the one 10 years ago, where you were speaking of being silenced when you came back from India, where...
I think recently.
It was the recent one, where...
I could just write little snips of scraps of paper.
And what happened to me with my silence was just, I could only collect letters from other languages and feel like I didn't know how to keep going in my own language, knowing that each word had a history and meant something before my casual, everyday, sloppy use of it. So all of the language was on the maps in the back. Then I took all of the language with me to California and then finally made it into a single music, which is now this text. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm reading the beginning and the end. Archipelago. How do I speak with, or hold, or return, or cherish, or understand this deluge we casually call yesterday, tomorrow, and today, in the hope of a swirling paramount of tongues, breaching inconsequence with exotic care, seashelled inside incessant wars of men of mind, he lets rain settle on his fingertips. If all the universe is language, or if the universe is only language, what we are is land in water, or water is alone, land is all we have, island to find, ocean, water of all we have but never find, lost at sea or lost in land. Language me as chain. My grandfather and grandmother are standing next to each other, young and cheerful, inside a field of light laughter, each wearing black-framed glasses. My grandmother walks over to my grandfather, holding a photograph of herself next to her grandmother. As she approaches my grandfather, she turns the photograph over. On the back is written an 87. She laughs to herself, crosses it out, replaces the 87 with an 88. There is writing in German she reads out loud. The history of language is not the history of the world soul. Rather, as Meister Eckhart says, the history of language is the words spoken from father to daughter, father to son, sister to brother, and these words are equivalent to the vast collection of all the lines of independent esoteric teachings. The light in the eyes is given a name, geared into a magnetic rhetoric, a matrix of world where what we call civilization, history, culture, tradition comes to feed and thrives on the light in our eyes. Suddenly we have been speaking. These words must be what they call angels, innocence, friendships of the unjustified and the unjustifiable, wings from which we later taper thinking. Apocalypse, Is not the world always ending, not always beginning? Has not the earth already ended, always? Have we not died enough to not fear death any more in life? Any fear of death must mean you are not dead enough. Apocalypse as a great death, a failure in reverence to what is not time. If you think all of this will end at a point in time, do you claim to live in any living understanding of what the word timeless stands for? Timeless meaning what is not time, a being completely not any part of this. If what we are is what we cannot imagine we are, or apocalypse in its irreverence is backwardsly in service of the ritual sacrifice, still speaking itself through the animal we name time, imagining killing all we know to be ourselves, fantasizing a cataclysmic ending because we cannot do it every day, see ourselves, not ourselves, nothing to be ourselves, not even the earth itself. Momentarily what we are, fighting what we are, I wonder when he speaks to me if his voice becomes the voice I could call my own, so the mind will loosen to what the heart wants to say, straight from the pink rose no one is to see. Why is something I have seen prior to seeing now so dear to me? Echo, memory, the heart-shaped bowl I took out from the cupboard next to the sink in the house I grew up in was my own heart, and this was my memory, and this was the heartbreak and the beauty of memory, that where you have been is where your heart lives, and memory will lead you to your heart. We only remember poetry. A book in the ear can be remembered in the air, in this atmosphere strictly amnesiac, a way of positioning ugly earth in the oasis of its fact of being, and by this they are beautiful. Who was I then when I, to find within this knowledge of finding oneself inside what repeats if you do not find yourself inside the mollusk, seashell of gathering storm. Illustrate breath. Lizardly blue ascends, waterfall slivers, embrace the business of being believed. To bustle towards her, the earth learns how she castles to occur, trusted, a worker of the earth. Time sees reflections of impossible desires, a jungle of balloons in which I am a child. A bird landing on the corner of the world chirps roof into word. The bird tweeting above that bird chirps hush of the palms, obelisk, glimmer of the pen. A bird died in front of me. A tree fell before I saw it fall. Living in a home confuses time. A woman with an air. Water is mother. Water is memory. To a god of language, your bird eye flashes between my upper lip and my nose. Let me come to language. I have come to the body. I have been silent in feeling, walking down roads. Samsara sleeps in anger dwelling, swerving, human violin, weakening, visions visit volts, clarity, cavity, watching volition. How is wisdom not everything but a word? How is wisdom not? How is wisdom not everything utterly but a word? How is wisdom not utterly a word? How is a word not utterly everything? How is a word not a word? Not it, but it makes this, lisp, wisp, whim, not cloud, lamb, impulse, hello, not love, clown, globe, rabid. Floriole. They had been forming each other's flesh, signals for each other's dissolution, a tenderness, an ease, tiny codes they do not need to speak, an undulation, almost a name between them. The world is a veil of soul-making. Don't pretend the day-to-day inhibits the mother star. Electricity is true. In the irons of song I do not yearn. Numbers are circle stairs, language known at noon, exactly to be known. A shadow is for us to know in any place the sun by where we are. String theory, grandioso. That we are attached to some beauty is itself Buddha's activity. How long will it take to undo time? I kissed him with my eyes closed, my lips tracing the clock, melting into overture. If this means being here, let my eyes be opened, raised to the soars of common pentacles, to the hurt light on metallic bars, craving shadow. A purple flower hovers above disfigured rock. Information does not exist or is when you are of the formation, arm in arm, no less than, no better than, what you were of, the mind to research and describe. The internet is not beautiful, I shouted, she moaned. Why have we never asked ourselves this question? Breath, not only air, a secret of fire, in no need of anything found, undresses light into glamorous contours of origins, grammars from which animals seek shelter, beg for the records of their ancient happiness, hidden away in tombs of sense. There is a trick of knowledge that does not believe in beauty, castigates itself in the language it clings to, shielding their eyes from this color called bliss. Could what we are be what we are? Could courage be confusion? Could there be no risk but subworlds of color? A pianist is bent, curved into being, trained to play the pre-existing notes. But for the 100-headed harmonies, there is no instrument. Sadly, we are invented. Simultaneously, we cannot claim any instrument ours. What we play to be ours, it is never here yet. Soon, he holds up his arms a candelabra. Soon, he chants in Chinese. Soon I will meet nowhere again, no longer need to evade these villains, these copper-stealing thieves, these structures of time. Am I wrong? These butterfly binoculars are death's new brain. Orange, pink, and ballerina pain, strumming shadow, ice flow arch. Fling me away from these vials of age. A scroll rolls out of red desert rage. Tracks in the desert are the writing of the sky. It is not special, it is the writing of the sky. Impatience must be, unwillingness. To be blind, I begin. 5,000 years to answer each question. Are you beginning to understand? People are incoherent. I stumble over your driveway, your lawn. I stress the divine chariot, our fiery star, your little mouth, a Bible in her hand, a scarf wrapped. My unity shall not be expressed except through thee, the child creator promises. It is the first promise of love. On thee shall be based all calculations and operations of the world. I miss my soul like I sit down, as if a choice was ever made, the opening of the mouth. Blowing away is also blowing through. I hold a charm of salvation that does not guarantee I do. The act of will is what no one asks of you. The only way to see is to continue to see. The whole world is your body, and I've given you my medicine, the palace of language. I wanted to be silent. An old lady eyeing peppermint candies. Children watch them being made. What is in your world of mirror? Our eyes are from this mirror. All your speech will return. This is the only thing in the world which will make you want to grow up. How do you know you are? She leaned into the foyer. All forms of study are studies of time. The wind chimes, Lilia Che. I am sarcophagus, I am steel, I am the way they did it, I am old, I dance through in crowds like wind, I am not wind, I have no one to show me, I move you to an edge of me to see, you want to be alone because of me. Where is a voice, I wonder, melisma, practice ceases, the practice of threading, a feeling through time, tracing eternity by the tool of heat. Enchiridion, walk into the woods until you walk lower into the earth, until you know how long this raindrop speaks the name you hear. Raindrop. Now a name, eternity anywhere. Your rebellion is a muscle of air. I bulwark my heart against an answer. Maze, worthy, petrified, mirror dark, horizontal waterfall, red light I wait at. Return every day turns. I delay you. I am the world. I do not say the world. I am a blue bird. Around, deep brown, her eyes, watery, she speaks. I only want to be an opus. Is there only one moment? I know alone, into the sky, we hail our voices into the air. Pneumatique, maze. What is brick made of? Miss, will, oh no, Jerusalem still in, if, why? From his awe he turns his eyes onto the road. Man with a red splotched face and a pinstriped shirt strolls through the swinging doors. Personality acoustics, innards of the gourd. Flower, forever, fever. What day is it? Wednesday. Loss of hours, loss of words, unalone, uncalibrated eros. The library is lovely because old, grating, shaky, only the given, light outside, pale, falling inwards, a light bulb, the little joined balls of a brass string pulled, a little light only where I stand, Bibles old, heavy, red, black, falling apart, fuming with must, heavy with voice, must I choose, arch my hip up to the shelf, lean a corner of the book into my bone, curves, jagged dips, quick plateaus, sudden dots, crescents of the desert, a record of lines the wind has left, hotness of the sand, each grain a sky. I let my eyes fall upon the curve, the vowel lowers, the lip, chin curving into lip, catching breath, moving from the mouth out. A word is this step each of us now takes to lose the meaning. He says into the center of it, stop the blue dawn of dream. His skin was blue, the dawn was pink, the world is never what she. The hemisphere tree, it comes out of nothing, it is mine. The snow brushes the surface of the snow. Never a face caught between our eyes, the mirror on the wall, and I, who is the hero of paradise? How come we're talking about this with a language that isn't this? We're talking about the fact that the language has to be different. We're talking about it in the language that isn't different. How can we possibly be there? You may think it's all your problem. Dirac, in the Scientific American, this is the thing that just really haunts me. Comes to a place where he says, since we know that we have no answers, we must have the wrong questions, and that means we have the wrong language, and he's talking about physics. The moon. He slept soundly as the engines of a great ship roared. Daylight, another gathering. He wrote because he saw one day he was not his own. It would have to be voices as crystallizations of observations. If you do not have compassion, no one will talk to you. I realized I just had to make a decision, vermilion. If a part was beginning to fray, he came in, confidently embroidered the edge to the most primitive sensibility of everyone in the room listening. Sapphire, time, awesome receptacle, spectacularly forgettable. Sometimes we will dance with each other alone. Abjure, rhythm, wings, yellow-shaped bells grow, Mare Nostrum, arabesque, iron, grating, trellis. Not exactly self, reflection clouds, the shadow of my hand I write in and out the edge of. La rimulate, accustomed, ocean, to speaking, trincolalis, accustomed, meso, to writing mi madorne, in the forms, syncopate, the costumes we call language, we body, hyla, our innocence, vach, dim, the bliss of, ahava, the immortaling, umishpatim, instrument, balila, undula, only her feeling there, the tone of her, a purple tone waves out from her. A man picks up a shiny chain, weightlessness of words, as if talking was, as if the vortex of, tessitura, we tone it down so it happens over time, so it is what we call time, what we have done to what does not happen, we could call language. That's the end of the beginning. So maybe that would be a good time to take a break, or to change everything that needs to be changed. Entering a poem is entering a garden, eyeing a bench, agreeing, I will go there, sit down, take rest. Say, dear mind, sleep in words, a dreaming where waking is no different than a slumber here. Where will you fall? Let me cradle you. Do you not understand what the world does in you? What was that? The way his lip quivers. He wakes from sleep into a word, a poet now, for words are what he learns to waken into. As if I were collecting lost leaves, I huddle under a tree, protected by a little lavender. The lavender is small, beneficent enough, strong enough to chaperone my eros into a heat that does not slay me. Around me is what protects me. When you came, alien, to the atmosphere, you began to understand you could be saved from crises by speaking to what was around you. The crisis of mind, the urging of us to speak. What do I do? Hello, tree. Squirrel bathed in light on the fallen redwood tree. From the squirrel's seeking of something to eat, something falls from the tree, is cradled precariously by one of the branches of the tree. Another branch, momentarily, the something, the squirrel uncovered, bat away, now crunched into the ground. Within the layer of ivy, this something must now obey. Eyes, do you not see? Swept to the edges, gestures cascade, huddle question, mother object, as our eyes let, light rain lets. The light around the day is, let only our eyes of having seen. Light, we could be lost, welcome in entrance, held from the world shed, without menace. Eyes, do you not say, leave me in my suddenness, know me only suddenly, let me be without you, so you may be with me. Wind blows, there is no one to hold except hold me, artifice, prolifically helpless. King of little things, counting all the things, out of the sand dunes asks, have you ever learned an instrument? The vision was a trick. Rock, the language of fulfillment of all others. In her absence, the Tower of Babel. A rabbit hops out of a tiger's urn. Is love a white vase tiger's envy? Is the only way to love you to be all of you? Hold me, hummingbird. Fly me to your castle of nervous love. Illusions of divisions, movement from free pictures to fixed signs. The lion-headed, don't talk, tell. Watch each turn of your tongue, or lose your words in your brain. Walk under words, under rain. No place safe from these sounds. A bird child flies above the city. Hauptstimme, more dialogue than I had eyes. Truth is a disturbance in time. Do you watch wind? Reality's huddle. Overhead a helicopter flies. The wind's eye we gather together under. To say the word soul is not a word. I put a penny in. I remember my life the. Old women shout Clytemnestra into water fountains. Paramitayana, a woman, walks towards me. From the perspective of Neoplatonic piety, the notion that the one would be compelled by anything, even its own nature, is viewed with horror. I keep empty for Elijah, auburn. Faith is a face, snake skinning, listening, scored a Torah sun, needles, orb, cordovan, headdress, cornflower, delicatamente, protected by what I cannot prove, I have no mind, but antenna, Louisiana. Modern buildings, white walls give, horseback shining in the glare of 1,000 mirrors. No one knows me, desire of a rainbow, happily unaware, speaking from ocean cave to ocean cave, hemiola, floor, light, ox, skull, Lemuria languorous under maroon, a sigh gives birth to an island without need. Sometimes we just say what we hear. When I say I want to be alone, I only mean a voice which is alone could be with everyone I love, a necklace we grip between our teeth, pretend to be our speech. To be said is to be given a mirror. By looking into a mirror, you see what you are and then walk on. The rose she serves, taste equal to scent. A single Chinese letter is a temple. Many letters running down the page are many temples. You have only to open your mouth. A temple is you opening your mouth. Her eyes open wide. Finally, she says, you may eat everything. She said why, I saw it as a feather, an obelisk behind, a sigil one hides, one's smallness behind, elaborate, seductive letter, serpent letter, let us little elves hide. She tries to study, one by one, the contours of one letter. What am I asking for when I say I seek the origins of language? If she lets her eyes rest upon the finest edge, willowing in which destination is deserving of, not sought, maybe then she will learn how to think. Do I want to know how language was first used? Maybe then no thought. There was only one. We walked up to it, will arch. We watched as each one held it, or undermine, a shadow, her, in her mouth until she died. Or am I asking to enter what is not restricted by evidence? Kabbalah the traffic light, each word a chariot, pulled by horses, white lights glow down the sides. A man holds the reins, two people sit in the back. Suddenly, no chariot, no horses, only a man. Two tourists walk behind, all in a daze, no one knowing the other. I step into the only room I know, air, an edge, hide, stripped from animal. Triangular blade carving sun into shadow. Fugge l'ombra col sol ritorna, ma l'uom qual'ombra fuga e più non torna. The shade goes away with the sun it returns, but the man from this shade goes away and does not return. People are her way to not believe what she hears in her mind. How were umbrellas meant to save us from the rain? They flew back into the wind. I said, I have a boat no one rides in. I don't know where it is, but I pray to it. The wood of the boat lips across cold cave water. I hear voices I call my own, voices I claim to be the ones I've heard. Voice, the word alone, containment of sound by someone, bizarre in a world of infinite utterance. Each voice I hear, I long not to hear. The wood beneath me soft splinters. The Egyptian false door. Sekhmet was a defender of the creative order, not a creator of it. Did you ever think it is better to be here? Stacks of books, miracles, air and water, the cover, the weather. I cannot believe I am granted to feel, My imagination becomes your eyes, looking with me into your eyes. Isolation of entrances, my head is in my hands. I learn to feign that which I am. Circumambulation, prostration. I learn to change the movements I have come to call myself in. But the bright light, the body I call my own, as if the body I answer. This too is an illusion of this place, out of which voices thrash, fly in their many-directioned flight, chorus, chaos, all flock, all fly away. What will you hold real against your death? Will it be some ancient esoteric text, or will it be a person most close to you, you hold with every last breath in you, against what takes you from your breath? Subhadra Purusha, to swell, to burn, to complete, an act of breathing, and the only place to ever speak, a place that burns with the roots you choose and finds itself in the skin of a word, roots so ready they unknowingly intertwine, long enough to make the roots a word, long enough to make the word a god. Or did the god come first? Did she rain or dance or cry down upon the ground, forcing herself back into a word, down into the roots, our final memory of her, our last sense of intellect before she, a power from which we seek a depth of speech, why the roots of words are called roots before they were gods, they were ground. Our mythology of messages is enough to make me not hear destinies of my desires' densities. Agony is not here, nor will it bring you here. And then there was something I had made, letters, corners of the landscape, plain, pure turns of force. I almost do not have to enter anywhere. I almost only have to know it is there, the name alone neon. Man is concerned with man and forgets the whole and the flowing. The old clairvoyant faculties had been transformed into intellectual capacity, a haunting devotion to the intellect. My dark night is in the middle of the day. Melody, her name was, served me. Kuntazangpo, Solenostaman, Jade. Love is Yetzira. Cathexis, the concentration of a great deal of psychological and emotional energy on one particular person, thing, or idea. Undo 2012, Immer, determination of a cow, shipwrecked by a world they call the world. Undo days, government as a creature, speed, swans for speech. They have in some way lost the names of the gods and remembered the names of the lovers. Scutellariodes, ragged green canopy, how to make something move with something else that moves while moving. Letter is a number, does not count, barely sees, wraps itself around itself, I, wet flesh, me, sweltering in his lack of breath. He longs for women's breasts like he longs to feel the ends of his own brain. Pour myself into myself, cistern what I will never be of what I will never be. I am nothing but curiosity, a fabulous grid, gaudy in flames, trying to find underneath my dress. You can only make a body of time if you relate the pre-believable vocabularies of flesh. She sought to be minute. Hate could never be the end. Running in circles to make a mound of earth, wheels to be heard. This life within her, a strawberry needing to be soaked, this blue gut, she had always been an end. In the end, there is an inside. Lady screams out in moonlight, cut the surfaces of words. Words are not slippery sounds here. Words are not coy implications here. Words are rings. She stretches her legs across a gorge, cries out for a bridge to lay her body down. Are you tracing the labyrinthine toils of tongues? Are you hollowing linearity out a heart caressed in the found? Is this time I bite myself into? My joy of bodying what I name overheats. I turn my words, I find the way, I enter here is carved. This is no knowledge, this poetry is no knowledge, or it is to its utmost surrounded by a moat of fear. In the pit of ignorance stands Minerva, well-dressed yet nervous. She has no thought in her, yet everyone came here to worship her. Karma, accumulation of not listening. A dragon breathes a language that is dragon. The busy chores of thought and action fail to stem the surge of yearning from my heart. Vowels and consonants block the way, enter by vowels and consonants. No window, say sand. One word is saving another from rest, itself, sand, open. A rain curl, sun is, gold, ripples, thoughts are treasure I hold up to the sun. A stone is a shadow, nothing thinks. Soul, stripe. In vain, Manzanita, in my veins, black dome, endangered, light, goodbye. Some people fear the imagination. He swings in circles, a disc, red laser, geometric figures. Voice, Minsk, Manzanita, trusted, statues before they spoke, were from their cages, birds released, a chattering. The intellectual love of a thing consists in the understanding of its perfections. All creatures whatsoever desire this love. She kept on sending ribbons into the wind, tossing ribbons over her balcony, into the ocean, bird just in reach of the olive branch it flies in front of. Vesuvius nuns, procession of the guides, pullulation, the longest vessel is the shortest sound, the need of abstract language. Northern lights held across time, how to stay awake in the faraway land, Thulian. When you speak with all worlds, you are only speaking. Layered, burrowed itself into the air, collecting itself in fascination, a fossil formed. Cars don't grow. Vengeance, all forms now, elbows pressed against soft wallpaper. A limited set of curves that make me live. Imagination is your mother's heart. Sibylline, hope, ant, on a nail. Enough, A fantastic system suddenly remembers the dance around the golden calf. All creation myths look themselves into the eyes. In the shock of Narcissus, children are patches of gas no one has sense strong enough to name. The silent voice revealed in its reticence the wonder of who we never were nor are. Your birthday on a cross I honor, you say no, I ask voice from you. I walk up to the body I walk up to. She leans her face inside a widely open road. He drives her up the hill, says heart, not fear. They collect seeds from strange worlds to suck. Voice grows into trees. They lie back, releasing life, leave in the imprints of their elbows a resonance, a pleasure of gravity collapsing into memory. As the evening is a star, hurry forth into a touch, a twisting into are you, her name, a hat worn in the desert, to hide under, to count time under. She walks up to a star, her voice strains toward. When the artist, alchemist, sees the perfect whiteness, the philosophers say that one has to destroy the books because they have become superfluous. The sun is the most constant traveler in our wandering solar system, but a white heat learns to speak. Imagination's beast and lord, golden in a bowl. Language now a home, if not then. Over-accumulated matter of vivid moments untouched by intelligence. Find a mirror not in form. The sign is the mind that sees. Relaxing into metonymies, the mind, the magic lantern, procession of the perihelion, our eyes, wands waving, pendulums premeditating the awakening. And then, after my plunge into flesh, I was suspended in the ends of my effort, the end of my flesh, or a chance to change my fate by the fossil's letter's face. Irrefutability swallows days dispassionately. Thoughts pass, exclaiming the desire to be what they have no intention of being, the women who walk backwards, the being neither God, demigod, nor hell being, but one who moves through all, swan across, night depository. I punch through copper busts of men of knowledge in the silent reading room. I pity boys and girls who have not felt through the weight of books. How do I know now? I go in the night alone. Under the moon I walk through a wood of wild pigs. I am scared, but if I make each step without worry, I am safe. He realizes he is not the world, so he becomes the world. The sun ribs in gold, meadow of the old, a song no one denies, coloratura. Nuns sit around sipping lemonade in Pompeii, waiting to see Mary, the only remain long after Vesuvius, cerulean. Nothing is wrong except this road, the hollow earth, a silhouette engraving, Bispigliando, what is a line, accomplished by air, naming upon naming, under, into, naming, I like you, like every other afternoon in an alien sun, amber, ardent. Are nomads sad? Who is anyone looking for anything? Salt shakers made of stainless steel, sentiment, sediment, guard it with your life. Could I move my life so as to guard the most precious element of earth? No place. The birds flew up from the brick path, up the sides of the building, around, through the trees, away, a cave meadow upholding the orange, the lifelessness of the sphere. The awake must be awake. Purgatory is the distance between your hand, agog, cherishing a spoon. Days are evangelical. Eyes moving is a human, chin in hand, index finger pointing upward. The wind gives me a habit, hierarchies of soul. Wherever we are creatures of other places. Whenever we are, creatures of other times. Whatever our experience, we are creatures of other imagined experiences. Not only the experience of unity, but the experience of separation is the mother of man. The very feeling of melody at all depends upon our articulation of the separate parts involved. What do you mean continue? What do you mean go on? A river is continue. Your face is voice. He hears her words as he drives the car forward through a field of flowers, apples on the sides of the road. Only his eyes see everyone around him, the radiance of the clock, the shining of the measure of his mind, the solidity of time, the passing of a soul. Voice skitters towards voice alone. Your birthday on the cross, red's white. All your thinking not to be honored. All my honor of you, not honored, but to be laid, lined on grooves of Madam Earth. Compromise instruction, valiant pangs. That's the end of the end.
Right.